Welcome back. Today we'll study about the sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Flower is the most conspicuous structure of an angiosperm plant. It is at the same time the most important part of the plant because it is specialized designed for reproduction. A typical angiospermic flower consists of 4 organs arranged in 4 types of holes: the calyx, the corolla, androecium, and gynoecium or the pistil. The calyx and corolla are known as accessory or non-essential hole because during this reproduction they don't play any important role. They play only a secondary role, that is to attract the insects for pollination, and it also play an important role for protecting the flower when it's in the bud. Today we'll study about the parts of typical flower. Before that, we'll just go back a little bit. A flower which have only one reproductive hole, that is either androecium or gynoecium, are known as unisexual flower. For example, this papaya, watermelon. And a flower having both reproductive hole are called bisexual. For example, mustard, tomato, including this hibiscus or China rose. Androecium and gynoecium, they constitute the reproductive or essential hole as they involve in the production of male and female gametes for the formation of seed. Example, stamen, that is the male reproductive part. Carpel, that is the female reproductive part. Therefore, a flower which contains both male and female reproductive part are known as bisexual flower. Bi means two. In other words, you can say which have carpel or stamen, they are known as bisexual. For example, P. China rose. Some flowers they possess male and female reproductive part. They are known as unisexual flower. Let's take an example which is very common. Like we have this corn, that is maize. It have the male and the female part. They are known as unisexual flower. We already know that sweet corn, it have the male part and female part. And cucumber, the same thing, it have male part and female part, including pumpkin. I hope that you observe this pumpkin. This the male parts. Sometimes you'll see they are selling in the market, and the female part which produce a fruit. Once again, what is the stamen and what's the carpel? These are the male and female reproductive part of flowering plant. In the stamen, there's anther and filament, and pollen grain is produced from here. Pollen grain, which is the male gametes. And in the carpel, there's a stigma, style, and ovary, which have ovules inside. This is the female gametes or female egg. Both the male and female male gametes and female, when they fuse, it form a zygote. This zygote will develop into a plant. Suruh. Oi. Androecium is the male reproductive hole of the flower. It composed of the stamen. In the stamen, there's a filament which have a pollen sac. Inside the pollen sac, pollen grain is there, and that is the male gametes. Same way, gynoecium is a female reproductive hole of flower. Its unit is called carpel. At the bottom of the solen part, there is a ovary which contain ovule. Each ovule has an egg cell. That is the female gametes. What is pollination? The transfer of male gametes from the stamen to a flower. Of a flower to a stigma to the stamen to the stigma is known as pollination. From stamen, it transferred to stigma. The pollen grain is transferred from. What is self-pollination? The transfer of pollen grain from the anther of a flower to the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant is known as self-pollination. It can be from different flower, but it is from the same plant. That is the self-pollination. If the pollination occur in the same plant, maybe same flower, or maybe different flower of the same plant, that is called self-pollination. And what is the cross-pollination? Cross-pollination, the transfer of pollen grain from anther of a flower of one plant to the stigma of a flower of another plant of the same species. They are known as cross-pollination. The transfer of pollen grain, same species but from different plant, that is cross-pollination. What are the agents of pollination? It can be wind, it can be animal, it can be insect. And what do you understand by the term fertilization? The pollen grain, after reaching the stigma, it travels down to the pollen tube through the style and it reaches the ovary. When it reaches the ovary, then the ovule meet with the female gametes. You can see here, okay, watch carefully. Inside the ovule, the male gametes fuse with the female gametes here, and two male gametes they fuse, and this is what we call double fertilization. Double fertilization means the fusion of two male gametes brought by a pollen tube with different structure of the same embryo sac, forming embryo and the other forming endosperm. That is called double fertilization. After that, it forms the zygote. The zygote will develop into embryo and it will produce the seed. After that, the flower part will wither away and it will form a fruit and the seed.